My orders are sa police pati military. Pati mga barangay na pagka ginulo at nagkaroon ng okasyon na lumaban at ang buhay ninyo ay nalagay alanganin, shoot them dead.
Hindi tayo titigil hanggat di nagwawagi ang ating...
Kay tendency nga mag-ulan, kaluluoy kami dugang, tiga damo nag-isang gusto mo puli. Dahil ako parang umuwi ng probinsya kasi walang-wala po talaga lockdown. Para naman po makita ang sitwasyon ng mga anak ko, yung pamilya ko po kasi wala din trabaho, wala din kumakain.
Panay ang hataw dito at binuhat pa na parang baboy pasakay ng service. Maraming residente ang umalma sa ginawa sa lalaki. Pero napag-diskusyon pa.
3 times a week.
Tapos po, paano po kayo pupunta? Wala kayong sasakyan.
Mula nung nag-lockdown.
Ano pong ginagawa po ma'am? Tinutulak lang po si...
Opo, mula sa amin hanggang doon.
Mula saan po na?
Doon sa bahay, sa Batasan.
Papunta ng ano po?
Doon sa Fairview, sa dialysis center.
Raising your hands as if sabihin ninyo revolution. Now, if you think that this can be solved by revolution, then by all means we start it. Mas gusto ko kung magsabi kayo ng taas na kayo, revolution, go ahead. Because I would be calling all people who love their country to come forward and work with the people. Hindi naman kayo natatakot siguro.
Ang ating mitihing magkapantay-pantay, walang magsasamantala, walang mag-aapi, yan ang sandigan ng ating pamumuhay.
My fellow Filipinos, in a bizarre turn of events, President Rodrigo Duterte has declared war on health care workers who are in the front lines of the battle against COVID-19, daring them to mount what he called a revolution against him, simply for their stating what was obvious to all citizens, that the government's current strategy is a losing battle, and they're asking for a new, consolidated, definitive plan of action. Aside from castigating them for publicly criticizing the current strategy, Duterte chose to blame the healthcare workers for his own failure, ignoring the fact in plain view that it is the coercive, militarized character of his approach that is responsible for the worst public health debacle in our history. Instead of heeding the health care workers' demand for a comprehensive plan of action, Duterte dug in his heels and intensified the police-led repressive approach by going back to the extremely restrictive Modified Enhanced Community Quarantine, MECQ, but without the comprehensive plan that the HCWs, or healthcare workers, were asking for. Without complementary components MECQ will not slow down the exponential spread of COVID-19 and will simply exacerbate its negative economic impacts, with renewed factory and office closures and lack of transportation for people to get to work. Owing to the government's bungling, the country recorded over 6,000 new cases on August 4, its largest daily increase. The number of confirmed cases now stands at 119,000, with 2,150 fatalities. The country has passed China in total infections and is number 1 in Southeast Asia. At the exponential rate the virus is spreading, it will not be surprising if the infection rate will climb to over 200,000 by the end of August. Duterte's stab in the back of medical frontliners added confusion and stoked resentment in a country where a sense that people are on their own is now pervasive and millions face hunger and destitution owing to people unable to return to their jobs and unable to access government support. Many poor families still have not received support they were entitled to under the government's social amelioration program, 3 months since it went into effect. Duterte says his administration is running out of money for social support, when in fact, the COVID-19 budget it put together is only half that of its neighbors, Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia. Indeed, his message to a country seeking leadership and support during his State of the Nation address, SONA, on July 27 was, "You're on your own, people. We have neither guidelines nor money to offer." Countries that have contained the disease have done so with flexible quarantine measures within a comprehensive strategy relying mainly on cooperation between health authorities and civil society, with public health authorities and not political elites providing leadership. The Philippines' failed strategy has relied on a coercion-first approach, with public health authorities playing second fiddle to the police and the military. Instead of asking people to cooperate in a real spirit of bayanihan, Malacanang has scolded people and ordered them around with guns and batons serving as the main instruments to secure compliance. Now, Duterte's attack on frontline medical workers is reprehensible, but it must be seen against the background of a leader who is flailing and is in panic mode, worried that the inevitable people's anger at his massive incompetence and absolute lack of concern, except for his political survival, might sweep him, his family, and his allies from power. He is right to fear the wrath of a people whose eyes have finally been opened to the bogus leader that he really is. In this existential crisis that the country faces owing to Duterte's crushing failure to lead, the first order of business must be for citizens to pressure him to resign the presidency so that the people can put in place a more competent leadership. The new leadership must then set up the comprehensive plan of action to deal with the pandemic, in which flexible but effective quarantine measures are taken in the context of a strategy built fundamentally not on coercion, as in the Duterte approach, but on cooperation between public health authorities, civil society, and basic communities. Key components of the new comprehensive strategy must include: 1. Removal of the police and military from any role in the containment of the pandemic, leaving the latter solely in the hands of healthcare workers, public health authorities, LGUs, and civil society. 2. Slashing the budgets of the military, police, and the Department of Finance by 1/2 and eliminating the Presidential Intelligence Fund and all other discretionary presidential funds, and reallocating all of these sums to the COVID-19 public health and economic relief funds. 3. raising the total amount of government spending on COVID-19 related activities by 100%, so as to match total spending by our neighbors in ASEAN. Fourth, ceasing to depend on the panacea of a COVID-19 vaccine from China or any other source, and relying instead on fusing the best practices of our health workers with the best practices from other countries. Duterte has said many times that he is ready to resign if people have lost confidence in him. Now is the time the country must take him up on this dare. For it is becoming increasingly clear to our people that if he is allowed to remain in power, as the country undergoes one of the greatest trials in its history, all of us will go down with him. Thank you very much.
Hindi tayo titigil hanggat di nagwawagi ang ating mithiing magkapantay-pantay. Walang magsasamantala, walang mang-aapi, yan ang sandigan ng ating pamumuhay.